Sports cars are held in high regard by many car enthusiasts, offering a fun, involving drive for a variety of budgets. They're often lightweight, reasonably nippy and engaging. However, they have been dying out over time. The move away from the manual gearbox and larger engines due to emissions regulations has seen them become less fun. So, with the impending electric future, can sports cars survive, or will they be condemned to the history books alongside the internal combustion engine? I'll discuss the brief history of EV sports cars, the current offerings, and what the future will hold to see if sports cars can continue in the electric age. If you enjoy, please consider liking and subscribing. The history of electric sports cars is brief, as there have been few attempts to create one due to the EV industry being pretty young. Perhaps the first electric sports car was the T0, made by AC Propulsion. It was developed during the 1990s, but never made it to production. Only 3 were ever made, and only 2 still exist. The T0 used a bespoke steel chassis and a Kevlar and carbon fibre reinforced body with double wishbone independent suspension and rack and pinion steering. The first version used a lead acid battery and had 220 horsepower and 240 Nm of torque. Given it weighed just 1,040 kilos, it could accelerate to 60 miles per hour in just over 4 seconds, while its top speed was limited to 90 miles per hour. It is said that it could hit 170 with multiple gear ratios. It had a range of up to 120 miles and could be recharged in around an hour. The price was targeted at $90,000, but actually exceeded $150,000. A version with lithium-ion batteries was made, and it improved the T0's range and performance. By knocking 230 kilos off the weight, it increased range to 300 miles, and 0 to 60 mile per hour time fell to 3.6 seconds. The price of this was $220,000. The T0 was never sold, as the company chose to focus on another vehicle. However, it did impress 2 men named Martin Eberhard and JB Straudel from a company you may have heard of. It also intrigued a certain Elon Musk, leading to his investment in their company, Tesla, and the subsequent Roadster, which is a second electric sports car. The EV company started off making an electric sports car based on the Lotus Elise. It wasn't the first electric Elise though, as a company named Zytek, which is a name that will appear again in this video, made one from 1998 to 2003, which featured 2 motors producing 201 horsepower. Many mechanical bits were licensed from AC Propulsion, although they were changed during development drastically. It used a 248 horsepower electric motor with 270 Nm of torque, and the sport model had an additional 40 horses. Based on such a light car, it weighed 1,305 kilograms, which is very light for an EV, and most small cars today weigh more, meaning this is an impressive figure. The 0 to 60 mile per hour time was 3.9 seconds for the standard model, and 3.7 seconds for the sport. The official range was 244 miles, though 311 miles has been completed on a singular charge. The Roadster was revealed in 2006, with the first production car being finished in 2008. Some changes came over the next 3 years, including new options in the aforementioned Sport, which arrived in 2010, but the formula remained pretty similar throughout production. Production ended in January 2012 as the 2,500 Lotus gliders had been supplied. This meant that Tesla was pretty rare, and it's only become more so, with values skyrocketing in recent years. On the topic of prices, they began at a smidge under $100,000, with the Sport costing nearly $130,000 with no options. Reviews were a mixed bag, with many praising the acceleration, but the handling was criticised by some, and Jeremy Clarkson famously left a scathing review of the Roadster, which left the BBC in a bit of hot water. Overall, the Roadster was a sign of things to come. Perhaps wasn't a massively convincing electric car or sports car, but it kicked off an EV giant and was the first production electric sports car. There were a few failed attempts at electric 2-seaters from Britain at a similar time to the Tesla Roadster. The Lightning GT was first shown off in 2008 with 4 in-wheel motors producing 700 horsepower, although it was since switched to a 402 horsepower powertrain with 2 electric motors at the rear. It has some pretty punchy specs, reaching 60 miles per hour in less than 4 seconds, having a range of 200 miles and a carbon fibre body. The UK government even funded some of its development. Orders were taken for a 2012 delivery, but this was moved back twice to 2017. The show cars were last displayed in 2019, but this was the last time, and one now resides in the British Motor Museum. The company went bankrupt in 2023. Morgan also had a couple of failed attempts at getting an EV into production. The Plus E was first revealed in 2012 in collaboration with Zytec and RadShape, was funded by the UK government. It used a 94 brake horsepower motor and a 5-speed manual gearbox. It never entered production and the project was canned. An electric 3-wheeler was planned, named the EV3. It had a 101 horsepower motor and an estimated range of 150 miles, but the project was scrapped in 2018. Mercedes also made a version of the SLS that was powered by electricity. The E-Cell prototype swapped the V8 for 4 electric motors, providing 526 horsepower and 880 Nm of torque. It also had carbon ceramic brakes, while the interior was luxurious like the standard model. It was actually put into production under the electric drive name with some changes, but numbers were limited as only 9 examples were ever sold at a price of €416,500 in 2013. It had 4 electric motors like the E-Cell, but had over 200 more horsepower, with 740 in total and 1000 Nm of torque. It could reach 62 miles per hour in 3.9 seconds, while also having a range of 160 miles. While there is only one true electric sports car on sale at the moment, there have been a few sporty 2-seaters that came before it. These have been Resto Mods, Hypercars and a GT. Let's start with Resto Mods, as there has been a recent trend for replacing the original engine with a much faster powertrain, usually from a Tesla. Cars like the MGB, AC Cobra, Aston Martin DB6 and Jaguar E-Type have all received this treatment. There have also been a few hypercars powered purely by electricity. The Lotus Evija was the most powerful production car ever, with 2011 horsepower and 1704 Nm of torque. This allows for a 0 to 62 time at below 3 seconds and a top speed of 217 miles per hour. The claimed range is 215 miles. Only 130 will be made, but all have been sold at a starting price around £2 million. Rimac has produced a couple of fiendishly quick cars, the Concept 1 producing 1287 horsepower and reaching 62 miles per hour in just 2.6 seconds and a top speed of 221 miles per hour. Impressively, almost everything was made in-house and it had a range of 320 miles, only 8 were ever made. The Nevera followed with similar looks but more performance. Power was upped to 1914 horsepower, allowing for a 0 to 60 time of less than 2 seconds and a top speed of 258 miles per hour. Only 150 will be made. It's also spawned the Pininfarina Battista, which has similar performance but with more style and is focused more on comfort. The Nevera R was revealed not too long ago, with 2,107 horses on tap and a 0 to 60 time of 1.74 seconds, as well as increased downforce for faster lap times. Other brands like Neo and Hispano Suiza have also produced balmy electric hypercars in limited numbers, though they aren't quite as impressive as the previously mentioned performance beasts. The Maserati Gran Turismo Folgore is the electric variant of a luxury Gran Tourer. Instead of the V6 that has replaced the V8, it uses 3 electric motors, meaning it has all-wheel drive, has 751 horsepower in total, with up to 1,350 Nm of torque. Despite weighing over 2 tons, it can reach 62 miles per hour in 2.7 seconds, and it has a top speed of 202 miles per hour. It's priced from £180,000, has a claim range of 280 miles. It's obviously aimed more at cruising, and less at track use and tight bends, with 2 rear seats. They are quite tight. It possesses a luxurious interior, with swathes of leather and plenty of technology. The only electric car currently on sale that fully meets the criteria of being a sports car is the MG Cyberster, an electric convertible that was first revealed in 2021, with sales beginning in 2024. It's a very handsome car with a smiley front and a sci-fi rear with balanced proportions. Add in the scissor doors, it looks properly exotic. Meanwhile, the interior is pretty nice, showing MG can do more than make budget family transport. There are 2 powertrain options. The Trophy is rear-wheel drive with a singular motor providing 335 horsepower and 475 Nm of torque, meaning the Cyberster can reach 62 miles per hour in less than 5 seconds. It has an estimated range of 316 miles. Meanwhile, the GT has 503 horsepower and 725 Nm of torque from 2 electric motors, meaning it's all-wheel drive, so it's a rocket ship with a 0 to 62 time of 3.2 seconds. Range falls to 276 miles though. The Trophy tips the scales at 1850 kilos, while the GT weighs 1984. For a car with this level of performance and such good looks, it's priced fairly reasonably. The Trophy starts at 55k, while the GT is available from $60. Reviews have been stellar, but not fantastic, as many journalists have rated it a 3 or 4 out of 5, although given it's the first attempt at an electric sports car for a long time, it's not bad. There's also been a Cyber GTS concept, which is a 2+2 inspired by the MGB GT, and it is likely to go into production this year. That's the story of electric sports cars up until now, but I want to touch on some upcoming ones that could really shake up the market. First off, the second generation Tesla Roadster is supposedly going to come to fruition at some point in the future, though it's been pushed back so many times, and Tesla is focusing more on bringing a cheap EV to the market, developing its bizarre self-driving machines. It will supposedly appear sometime this year, but remain skeptical, given Tesla's track record. It was first revealed in 2017, with a futuristic design that shocked the world, although it has been seen so many times that it's lost its wow factor, at least on screens. There have been some pretty wild statements made by Tesla about the new Roadster, including that it will have a range of 620 miles, 10,000 Nm of torque, that with a rocket thruster option, it will do 0 to 60 in 1.1 seconds, but Elon Musk has since said that he is targeting it to do it in under a second. The price was set at $200,000, and the first 1,000 will be known as the Founders Series and will cost $250,000. These prices seem very unrealistic, as does most of the other information from Tesla about the new Roadster, but if all of it is true, it could be one of the biggest bombshells ever dropped in the motoring industry. I'll quickly talk about some of the cars that will be replaced by electric models. An all-electric Porsche Cayman has been seen in testing and is likely to be revealed this year, while Alpine has confirmed that the next A110 will be an EV and that it will likely go on sale in 2026. Meanwhile, the MX-5 is likely to go electric as well, either this year or in 2026. It's also likely that Toyota will bring back an iconic name with an electric sports car. Don't forget about the Polestar 6 EVO, which will have up to 884 horsepower and 900 Nm of torque, and it's set to go on sale in 2026. Another brand owned by Geely, Lotus, will make an electric sports car currently being developed under the name Type 135, and it will be in a similar vein to the Emira. It will cost around $75,000 when it launches in 2027. The next two cars are particularly interesting and are likely to disrupt the market majorly. Neobolt's EV sports car concept is inspired by the Lotus Elise and weighs in at under 1,250 kilograms. It does this thanks to a small 35 kWh battery, which provides 155 miles of range. However, the company's innovative battery technology allows it to charge from 10% to 80% in less than 5 minutes, making it much more convenient than current EVs. It also has very impressive battery durability, keeping over 80% of its capacity after 600,000 miles. Whether or not the car enters production, this technology is likely to end up in some production cars, which could change the industry and allow for a lightweight electric sports car. In-wheel motors, which aren't really viable at the moment, are being developed by many companies and reduce the weight of EVs, and these could come in handy when developing sports cars of the future. The Caterham Project V is the last car of this video, and it's quite a change for the British manufacturer, not least because it has a roof. It will be a 2+1 with a bench seat of kinds behind the front two seats, although a 2+2 will be available as well. The chassis will be made of a carbon fibre and aluminium composite with composite bodywork to keep the weight down. The target weight is 1,190 kilograms, which is lighter than most new small hatchbacks. There will be a rear-mounted 268 horsepower motor supplied by Yamaha. The 0 to 62 time is estimated to be less than 4.5 seconds, while range will be about 249 miles. It's projected to cost less than £80,000 and is due sometime in 2025. That's the story of electric sports cars then, from oddball concepts that never made it into production to a recognised manufacturer finally making one. The future is bright though, with a number of major manufacturers gearing up to reveal an electric, sporty two-seater, while newer and more left-field brands will also be in the mix.